Welcome guys to yet another video. I'm your friend and brother Charles, and I'm here to show you some important things you will see in your exam Jamb 2026 in mathematics. If you have been following my series on my channel, you will see that earlier I talked about the important topics that you will see in your Jamb 2026, and one of those topics is indices. And I just want to solve some problems that you will see in Jamb 2026 in your mathematics exam under indices. This was one of the questions that came out last year, Jamb question number 5 in your Jamb mathematics last year. And many students were fidgeting when they saw this problem coming from indices. But I'm here today to show you how to solve the problem with ease and without stress. Looking at the board, we said simplify all square roots 160 r root square plus all square root 71 r root 4 plus all square root 100 r root raised to the power of 8. Now, many students will be confused on what to do, but this is how you get along with it. The first thing we are going to do is we pick these smaller square roots, which is square root of 100 r raised to the power of 8. Now, this 100 r raised to the power of 8, remember that in indices or in mathematics, most of the times, when we see square roots, it's the same thing as when we say 100 r raised to the power of 8 power half. So this half that we have here is representing the square root that we have there. So since we have done that, we tell ourselves what's the square root of 100. The square root of 100 will give us 10. Remember that these brackets is covering everything, and then we have a half there. The half represents the square root. So if we also say that 2 into 8 will give us 4. 2 into 8 will give us 4. So this question now will now look like this. Since we have been able to, simplify these roots, the smallest roots, it will now look like this. 160 r root squared plus 71 r root 4 plus, remember that we have destroyed and we have been able to remove these square roots. We now have 10 r raised to the power of 4. Having done that, we can see that these two have the same power and therefore they can be added. So we now say that all square roots 160 r root squared plus all square roots, since they have the same coefficients, which is r raised to the power of 4, we can add them together. That's 81 r raised to the power of 4. Having done that, we also pick this other square root that is inside. We pick it and then it becomes 81 r raised to the power of 4 will be the same, will be equal to, open brackets, 81 r raised to the power of 4. We close the bracket. This square root means half. We put our half there. So that becomes, remember that this square root, this 1/2 is same as square root. So the square root of 81 is 9 and 2 into 4 is 2. So that becomes 9 r squared. Having gotten that, we can now see that this problem will look this way. It will look like this. We have our square root 160 r squared plus 9 r squared. You can see that we have the same coefficient of r squared with that of the same coefficient of r squared for 9 is the same coefficient for 160. So having gotten that, we can be able now to add that becomes 169 r squared. That becomes equal to, we now say 169. Remember we said that our square root is same thing as half. In mathematics, whenever we see square root, we know that it represents half. So the square root of 169 is 13. And 2 going to this 2 here, we have 13r. So after simplifying this, you can see how big this is. and you can see how I followed and broke them down each step, and then this way we have our final answer as 13R. This question will come out in your JAM 2026. If you do not know how to solve it, I have been able to simplify it by taking it step by step. If you still have any question on how any step was achieved, you can do well to comment on the comment section, and I'll be right there to direct you on how to solve the problem with ease. We'll be looking at another problem that will come out in your exam this year, JAM 2026. Here we are again for another problem that you will see in your exam, JAM 2026. This was also another question that came out last year in JAM. It came out last year. It came out year before last, and it's, in fact, for the past 5 years now, this problem has been coming out, and you're going to see it also in this year's exam, JAM Mathematics 2026. So let's look at how we can be able to simplify this problem as we tag along. So we can see that we have x to the power of 3n plus 1 over x to the power of 2n plus 5 over 2, or square root x to the power of 2n minus 3. We want to see how we can be able to solve this problem. So what do we do here? The first thing we have to do, we have to simplify as the word says. So we see x 3n plus 1 upon x 2n plus 5 over 2 times, we open a bracket, x 2n minus 3 all to the power of half. Remember that we already said that these square roots means half. So when we are solving the problem, we're trying to simplify, so we try to break every expression in bits. So what do we do next? We open this bracket, and this becomes x 3n plus 1 over x 2n plus 5 over 2 times x 2n over 2 minus 3 over 2. We have used this half to multiply with 2n and use the half to multiply with negative 3. And that's what we have. Remember that in indices, we say when the base are the same and you are multiplying, you add the power. So that becomes x 3n plus 1 upon, we pick one of the x, we say 2n plus 2n over 2 plus 5 over 2 minus 3 over 2. So, like we all know that law of indices, when the bases are the same, you add the powers. That's what we are doing here now. So that becomes x 3n plus 1 over, x is here already. We can put all over 1 here. We can put 2 as our LCM. 1 into 2 is 2. 2 times 2n is 4n plus 2 into 2 is 1. 1 times 2n is 2n plus, we also have another LCM here, which is 2. 2 into 2, so it is 5. 2 into 2 is 2. 2 times 5 is 5. Minus 2 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So we have it to be equal to x 3n plus 1 over x 6n over 2 plus 2 over 2. So that will give us x, which is 3n plus 1 over x 3n plus 1. If you look at that carefully, we'll see that 2 can divide 6 to give us 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So indices, when the base are the same and you are dividing, you subtract. So that becomes x 3n plus 1 minus into 3n plus 1. So that gives us x 3n plus 1 minus 3n minus 1, because you use this minus to open the bracket. So this is now equal to x there, 3n minus 3n is 0, 1 minus 1 is 0, so x raised to the power of 0, and our final answer here is 1. So you can see how this question was solved. If you have any issues with how it was done, do well to comment on the comment section. If you have any question on any step that was taken, do well to comment on the comment section, and I'll be right there to answer your question. I'm going to solve one more problem that comes out in Jamb, and which you will see in this year's Jamb exam as well. All right, this is also another very important question that you will see in your Jamb 2026. Remember, the topic is indices, and these are questions that you will see in your exam. So let's look at it as we move along. As you can see here, we can see that the question is, if 2 raised to the power of 1 minus y times 2 raised to the power of 1 y minus 1 upon 2 to the power of y plus 2 equal a to the power of 2 minus 3y, we should find y. So what do? We break it down and simplify as we go along. So since the base are the same and we're multiplying, we can add the power. So that becomes 2, 1 minus y plus y minus 1 over 2 y plus 2 equal. Now, if we look at this very well, this is 8. 8 can be broken down to have the same base with this as 2 to the power of 3 into 2 minus 3y. We have reduced, we know that 2 into 3 places will give us back our 8. So let's add what is here. We can see that minus y plus y, that's 0. 1 minus 1, that is 0. So we have 2 raised to the power of 0 over 2 raised to the power of y plus 2 will be equal to 2 to the power of 6 minus 9y. If we multiply 3 times 2, we have 6. 3 times 3, we have 9. And we know in mathematics that anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. Good and fine, but let's see how that goes. Since the base are the same and we're dividing, we subtract the power. So that becomes 2, 0 minus y, 2, 0, 2 raised to the power of 0 minus, open bracket, y plus 2 will be equal to 2 to the power of 6 minus 9y. So that gives us 2 to the power of 0 minus y minus 2 will be equal to 2 to the power of 6 minus 9y. As we all know, that 0 minus 2 is minus 2. So that's 2 to the power of minus 2 minus y will be equal to 2 to the power of 6 minus 9y. So we say this 2 here cancels out the 2 we have here. So that becomes minus 2 minus y equals 6 minus 9y. That gives us negative 2, negative y equal this. We'll collect like terms. So we'll say negative 2, negative 6 will be equal to negative 9 plus y. That becomes, we have negative 8 will be equal to, sorry, here is 9y plus y. That's that will give us negative 8y. So negative cancel negative, divide through by 8. 8 cancel 8. Therefore, the value of y which we're asked to find is equal to 1. Majority of the times, Jamb will give you a very large expression like this, and the answers end up becoming either 1 or 0 or more. So you can see how this problem has been solved. They come out every year in your exam. It's also another problem that Jamb brings out every year, and you will see it also in this Jamb 2026. We're told to simplify 3 to the power of x minus 1 times 9 to the power of x plus 1 times 27 to the power of minus x over 81 raised to the power of 5x minus 3. Many students, when they come across a problem like this, they begin to fidget and they begin to fear because they don't know what to do. But this is how we go about this problem. First of all, we have to make sure that all these numbers are all in the same base. What do I mean by the same base? Watch me. This is 3x minus 1 times 9 is 3 power 2. Because 3 into 2 places will give us 9. We open the bracket x plus 1 because there's a power there times 3 to the power of 3 into negative x as we have there all over. We have 3 to the power of 4 will give us 81. So we have 5x minus 3. That's what we have there. So you can see that they are all in the same base, which is 3. So we'll simplify further. We'll say this is equal and this is also equal to x minus 1 times 3. 2 times x, we have 2x plus 2 times 1, we have 2 here. And then we have x to the power of 3 negative 3x. And then we have this down here, 3. 4 times 5x, we have 20x. Negative 4 times 3, we have 12. Because they're all in the same base, remember the law of indices that we are going to add the powers. So when adding the powers, what do? We pick one of the base and then we add the powers that we have, x minus 1 plus 2x plus 2 plus negative 3x all over 20x minus 12. So we can go further to simplify and say 3 here. We have x plus 2x, that's 3x. 3x minus 3x is 0. So we have minus 1 plus 2. Minus 1 plus 2 is 1. So we have 3 to the power of 1 there. Here we have we have 3 to the power of 20x minus 12. Remember we said that x plus 2x is 3x. 3x plus times minus is minus. So 3x minus 3x is 0. So we have negative 1 plus 2. That will give us 1. So since they are of the same base, we can now subtract. And they are dividing themselves. So we can subtract. We pick 3, 1 minus 20x minus 12. That becomes 3, 1 minus 20x. Minus minus is what? Plus 12. So the answer becomes 3. 1 plus 12 is 13 minus 20x. So this is how our answer looks like. If there's any problem you have on this, do well to comment on the comment section. I'll be there to answer your question and if possibly go over the video again or make a video again for you so that you can understand what have been done. I am still your friend and brother. Do well to like, share, and subscribe. See you in my next video.